My 29M friend Jack, 31M, has had a rough year with his wife Abby, 32F. From a layoff on her end to conflict with Abby's family, I knew they were kinda on the rocks. My wife Elizabeth, 34F, is good friends with Abby ever since I introduced them. Here's where the conflict lies. Abby told my wife over coffee that she's planning on leaving Jack since their issues have been so bad. She said that soon she plans on clearing out their joint savings and checking, and moving across the country back to her and then filing for divorce. When my wife came home yesterday morning, I asked her how it went, and she seemed a little off. She said Jack and Abby were doing worse than she imagined. I pressed her for details, and she was hesitant until I fished the above information out of her. Obviously, I was shocked. I told her we have to tell Jack it's not okay for the man to come home from work to an emptied-out house and a zeroed-out bank account without a discussion. She disagreed and said she can't betray Abby's confidence. I said I'm going to tell Jack, and that led to a semi-heated discussion where she said I would ruin her relationship with Abby, but I asked if she thought that was acceptable behavior, but she disagreed and said it wasn't our place to involve ourselves. I simply said this isn't something I could just sit on, and I would be informing Jake. My wife resigned from the conversation and said she couldn't stop me. Later, I sent a lengthy text to Jack informing him of Abby's plan. He said thanks and that he would take out half the money from the joint accounts and talk to a lawyer and Abby. Abby later yesterday night had to deal with an upset Jack coming home from work and her plan up in smoke as he had cleared out half of the joint funds. She told my wife this morning and is extremely upset about the whole situation and doesn't consider my wife a friend anymore. She doesn't have the money to go home and establish herself on the West Coast, she said, because of her. My wife is extremely upset and says that I ruined her friendship, but I retorted that she could have equally ruined my friendship with my best friend. We've been going back and forth, and while not heated, we've been trying to get perspective. Reddit, I need your judgment.
Comment 1. From your description, Abby was trying to screw over Jack. Your wife doesn't agree with this, you don't agree with this, and you took steps to protect your best friend. Only Ash in here seems to be Abby, who hasn't tried to work out how to separate from Jack without being horrible. Comment 2. In filing for divorce, Abby would likely have either had to repay half of the money, or assets would be split to account for the difference. Major financial changes immediately before divorce are often reversed. Back in Cali, a friend of a friend bought a new car upfront right before divorcing, and laughed that he'd gamed the system. Cue shocked Pikachu face when that money was taken out of his half of the house sale. The only case where I'd say this would be okay is if A, abuse was happening, and B, the abused person legitimately needed more than half of the savings to get themselves safe. In that case, they'd still likely have to repay it, but better that than running up credit cards or taking payday loans to get free. NTA. Abby is gross, and your wife wanted to enable her. My wife, 31F, and I, 32M, have been married for 6 years. We have no children. We legally separated last year, because I saw a text on my wife's phone to her co-worker where she said she felt special when talking to him. My wife admitted she shouldn't have sent that text, and that nothing physical had happened between her and her co-worker. But she admitted that text was probably the beginnings of an emotional affair. She was very remorseful about it and really regretful about everything, and she said she'd quit her job and do anything to reconcile. She recommended marriage counseling and even individual therapy for herself. However, I just felt extremely betrayed and really wanted a divorce, but my wife recommended separation for an indefinite period of time to see if my feelings for her could rekindle. I thought about it a lot and ultimately agreed on legal separation. My wife told me she wouldn't see or date anyone during the separation, but I made no such guarantees. I told my wife she was free to do what she wanted, but she still insisted that she wasn't going to even entertain it to prove her love to me. My wife and I then got legally separated, and a couple of months after separation, I started seeing my current partner. We have now been dating for 9 months, and my partner knows about me being legally separated. I didn't really feel the need to tell about my partner to my wife. However, last week, My girlfriend and I were grocery shopping and holding hands, and my wife came up behind me and said hi. She seemed a bit hurt, and just immediately left after saying hi to me. I felt a bit guilty about it, even though I know I shouldn't feel guilty about it, and that I'm not doing anything wrong. Later that night, I called my wife and told her everything, and I said we could proceed with divorce if she wanted to. However, my wife was crying and she said no. She said she still wants to give it a shot, and that she still believes in us. I know I technically am not the a-hole, but I feel like I am an a-hole. Comment 1. Maybe you should have just been honest with her from the start and said you couldn't forgive her, so you wanted a divorce. By agreeing to that legal separation, you gave her false hope. Then you could have informed her you had met someone that you wanted a relationship with. She would have known the marriage is over. Comment 2. Yeah, I'm sorry, but not being technically in the wrong doesn't make you not an asshole. You knew she was hoping to work on your relationship, lead her to believe you were willing by not divorcing her. You knew you were working on another relationship instead of rekindling your marriage. You should have given her all the information to make an informed decision. You may not be officially cheating, but you are playing her. A 9 months relationship you just didn't feel the need to mention is being an a-hole to both your wife and girlfriend. YTA. I'm in a wheelchair. My 17M leg got amputated 3 months ago. I have not been feeling the best, and I felt worse when I got uninvited from my brother's wedding because my brother and his new wife basically told me that I would be a distraction and take the attention off of them. They didn't say distraction, but they definitely implied it. My parents were upset about this as well and were even planning on staying with me, but I told them it was okay to go. I did cry while they were at the wedding because I felt excluded, and while that was happening I felt that I didn't really want to be bothered with my brother and his wife anymore. When my parents came home, they were telling me that people were asking about and asking where I was, so I guess I was gonna be a distraction regardless. My brother tried calling me some hours after the wedding, but I didn't pick up. After that, him and his wife came by a couple of times after, but I kept telling them that I didn't want to speak to either of them, and I asked them to leave me alone. I've been trying to ignore them, and they've been making it very difficult for me to do that, so I had to block them. And I know my parents are upset by this, but they said that they don't agree with what my brother did and even told him and his wife not to come over for some time. My grandma and uncle have both called me on my brother's behalf, telling me that he's hurt I'm not speaking to him and he wants to make things right. He's planning on leaving on his honeymoon soon and invited me to go out and take me wherever I want so he could apologize because he didn't intend to hurt me. It was basically the same thing he said to me in person, but he's just now getting other people to say it too because he sent the same things to our parents as well. The thing is, he did hurt me too, and I don't want to go anywhere with him. I don't even like going out now that I'm in a wheelchair because I feel like people stare at me and it's embarrassing, and I'm just hoping it gets better when I get my prosthetic. My family knows I don't like going out as it is, but I was willing to do that for my brother because I really wanted to go to my brother's wedding, and to be excluded like that hurt. I was told to go because my brother feels really guilty, and they told me that everyone's still adjusting and he did not mean any harm because he would never intentionally hurt me. But I don't know why they keep saying that, because whether he meant it like that or not, that's how I took it. My parents are upset at my grandma and uncle for telling me that, but told me that I should still consider the offer. If I refuse to go, would I be wrong? I'm not sure how many people think what I'm doing is wrong because nobody else has been saying anything about it. Only my uncle and grandma have been vocal about it, and I don't want people talking about me behind my back because they were originally upset when I got uninvited. Comment 1. NTA. Your feelings are valid, and if you choose to go North Carolina with your brother and Sil, that's your choice, just like it was their choice to exclude you from the wedding. It was 3 months after you lost your leg, and you were still dealing with that when he uninvited you and would say that he didn't mean to hurt you. I don't see how anybody wouldn't see that would hurt you. It's up to you whether you want a relationship with them or not. Not your grandma, uncle, or parents. Comment 2. Honestly, you're not wrong for feeling hurt. Getting uninvited from your brother's wedding like that is a big deal, especially when you wanted to be there. It's totally valid to need space after being treated like a distraction. Your feelings matter, and it sounds like your brother needs to understand that. Hi all. I, 25F, am currently pregnant and have been admitted to hospital a few days ago for a suspected clot in my lung following severe chest pain. I am still in hospital right now. A few weeks ago, my wonderful maternal grandfather passed from cancer, and we are obviously as a family still upset. 2.5 years ago, I was in a car accident. I broke my back in 3 places, my pelvis, and 3 ribs. It was during COVID, so I was admitted to hospital and had loads of scans all through the day/night. Once they figured that I didn't need corrective surgery, they discharged me the following morning with morphine tablets and a wheelchair. I came out of hospital to around 100 messages from people I barely knew wishing me well. My mum and stepdad had posted pictures of my wrecked car on Facebook and told everyone they knew about the accident and specifics about my injuries. At the time, I asked them to take down the posts as I did not want people knowing all about my personal life. They never took the posts down. Today my friend told me that my mum has been sending messages into group chats telling people that I am pregnant and in hospital. My stepdad told his family the same. I have told them that my husband and I want to share the news ourselves. I told them that I was so hurt and disappointed that they have told people and also lied to me about it. I pointed out the lie and told them that I had again received messages from others proving that they lied. My mum then sent me a voice note of her crying saying, "Sorry, I don't know what I have done, but I am sorry. I must be the worst mother in the world. I am just so upset about Papa too." It was hard to hear her so upset, but I just reiterated that asking for privacy was not too much to ask. My stepdad, who I have been very close to, also sent me a voice note telling me that they don't need this stress and to stop being so hateful over something so trivial. He told me that I was clearly hormonal, but that he'll let it slide this time because I am pregnant. He told me that my mum has cried for over 30 minutes and it's all my fault and that it's all over nothing. Also, that they told other people because they are worried about me. He said they will never apologize as they haven't done anything wrong. He also said that I am the daughter he never had and that he loves me, but that he is so disappointed in my behavior. The original message that started this sent to my mum. "Sorry, it's just I've had messages from people today wishing me well in hospital, so I know you lied about who you have told about me being here. I am just hurt and disappointed as I would have much preferred privacy. I don't feel like sharing any more because I don't know who you are both sharing it with, and it has actually made me being in hospital much more stressful. I might be TA because we are all grieving and emotions are running high. I also don't feel like they told other people in a malicious way, just thoughtless. So, comment 1. NTA. At all. Your health is your business. Your mum sounds incredibly manipulative and narcissistic by her "I must be the worst mom in the world" response. I'd be keeping them on a strict information diet from here on out. When it comes time to deliver the baby, I'd suggest not telling anyone. Tell them after the baby is born and you've had a chance to announce your good news. Otherwise they seem like the type who will tell everyone before you get a chance. Comment 2. I'm sorry for your loss. I understand that you are all grieving, but absolutely can. Nothing gives them the right to use your personal information to feed their need to be trauma vultures, or to react as if you were in the wrong for setting some appropriate boundaries regarding your personal and private information. NTA. I, F25, have been friends with Sarah, F26, since we were in high school. We've been through thick and thin together, and she's practically like a sister to me. Sarah has been married to John, M28, for 2 years, and they seemed like the perfect couple. I always envied their relationship and hoped to have something like that one day. A few months ago, Sarah started acting strangely. She was secretive, always on her phone, and frequently lying about her whereabouts. I brushed it off as stress from work or maybe something she wasn't ready to share yet. But then I found out the truth. Sarah was having an affair with a co-worker, Mark, M30. I stumbled upon this by accident. One night, Sarah left her phone at my apartment after we had a girls' night. It kept buzzing with messages from Mark, and when I saw the explicit content of their conversation, I felt sick. I confronted Sarah about it the next day. She broke down, admitting everything. She said she didn't love John anymore but was too scared to leave him because of financial stability and fear of judgment from her family and friends. I tried to convince her to end the affair and either work on her marriage or leave John honestly. She promised she would, but weeks went by, and nothing changed. Sarah continued her affair, and I couldn't stand seeing John being deceived. He was a good guy who genuinely loved her, and he deserved to know the truth. After much internal conflict, I decided to tell John. I met him at a coffee shop, explained everything, and showed him the messages I had seen. John was devastated, and I felt like the worst person in the world for being the bearer of such terrible news. He thanked me for telling him and said he would handle it from there. The fallout was massive. John confronted Sarah, and their marriage fell apart. Sarah was furious with me for exposing her secret. She called me a traitor and ended our friendship. Our mutual friends were divided. Some thought I did the right thing, while others believed I had overstepped and ruined lives. Now, months later, Sarah and John are divorced. Sarah moved in with Mark, but their relationship is rocky. John is trying to rebuild his life but is understandably still hurt. As for me, I've lost one of my closest friends and am left questioning if I did the right thing.
Comment 1. Wish my ex-wife's friend who knew, and who I thought was my friend also, would have told me. NTA. Cheaters aren't friends worth keeping. Comment 2. NTA, she is a horrible person.